Hey YouTube, how's it going? It's Rob here, and today we're going to go over more cards from the latest set, Rivals of Ixalan. And here's my first card I have to show for you. Is Angrath the Flame Chain. 3 colorless, a swamp, and a mountain. It's a legendary planeswalker, Angrath. His +1 ability is each opponent discards a card and loses 2 life. His -3 ability is gain control of target creature until the end of the turn. Untap it. It gains haste until the end of the turn. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step if it has converted mana cost 3 or less. In its -8 ability, each opponent loses life equal to the number of cards in his or her graveyard, and he starts out at 4 loyalty counters. Very powerful planeswalker. I can definitely see this in constructed. Very limited bomb. Overall, I think this is going to be a great card. Next is Azure the Lawbringer. 2 colorless, 2 plains, 2 islands. Legendary creature, Finks. It has flying. And when it enters the battlefield, each opponent can't cast instant or sorcery spells during that player's next turn. And whenever he attacks, you may pay X plains and 2 islands. And if you do, you gain X life and draw X cards. And it's a 6/6. I can definitely see this guy constructed. Very good creature. May even become a commander card. Overall, I believe this is going to be a great card. Next is Bishop of Binding. It's a 4, it's 3 colorless and 1 plains, vampire cleric. When it enters the battlefield, exile target creature an opponent controls until it leaves the field, and when it attacks, target vampire gets +X/+X until the end of the turn, where X is the power of the exiled card. Pretty good and limited. This was actually a card that Wizards of the Coast sent to me to do all by itself. Sorry about that. This is definitely an interesting card. I mean, 1/1 for 4 is not that powerful, but this guy can pop on anything, almost like a cast out. But when he attacks, if you have another vampire, it gets whatever the power and toughness of the next card. I can definitely see it in limited. It may see constructed play. Next, we have Dead Man's Chest. Just like the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. It's a 1 colorless and 1 swamp enchantment aura. Enchant creature an opponent controls. When it dies, exile cards equal to the power from the top of its owner's library. You may cast non-land cards from among them for as long as they remain exiled. And you may spend mana as owes or any type of mana to cast those spells. Very interesting card. I can maybe see this in a constructed play if it's in a blue-black control or some sort of control deck. Yeah, it seems like a pretty decent card. Next is Direfleet Neckbreaker. 2 colors, a swamp, and a mountain. It's an orc pirate. There's a 3/2. Attacking pirates you control get +2/+0. Definitely a great card for limited, especially if you're playing pirates. And there are a lot of other pirates in this set that are very helpful to the pirate archetype, since they need a lot of work. This will definitely be a good helper in those decks. Definitely limited playable, and I think it can see constructed play. Next is Direfleet Poisoner. It's a 1 colorless and 1 swamp human pirate. It has Flash and Death Touch. When it enters the battlefield, target attacking pirate you control gets +1/+1 and gains Death Touch until the end of the turn. Very good play and limited. You may see constructed play if you have other pirates. 2/2 for 2, always good. Yeah, I like this card, and I think it can work in constructed. Next is Orenda Dusk Rose. 2 colors, 1 swamp, and 1 plains. Legendary creature, Vampire Knight. She has lifelink, and whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on her. And when she dies, create that many vampire tokens with lifelink where X is equal to her power. This is very, very good. Vampires need a lot of work, and with her in the deck, you're going to have a ton of power. Trust me. You're going to be letting creatures go in, die, and it doesn't say non-creatures, so you can let your tokens die too. And yeah, this is going to be a great card. Very, very good and limited, and I think she'll see constructed play. Now this card right here was, when I first saw this card, holy crap, was I very happy about this card. Ixalan, Primal Storm. 4 colors, 2 mountains. Legendary creature, Elder Dinosaur. When it attacks, exile the top card of each player's library, then you may cast any number of non-land cards exiled this way without paying the mana cost. It's a 6/6. Oh man, this is a great card. Very surprised it wasn't a mythic. I know it costs a lot, but there's a lot of support for dinosaurs that decrease the cost of dinosaurs. Put this in a Dinosaurs or red-white or green-red dinosaur deck, and then as soon as it attacks, boom. Get some powerful stuff from your opponent or from yourself, cast it onto the field, and boom, boom, boom. You're going to get some great stuff out of this card. Definitely constructed playable, definitely a limited bomb. Next is Fanatical Firebreak. It's a 1-drop goblin pirate with haste, and also you can turn it to sacrifice it, and it deals 1 damage to target creature or player, and it's a 1/1. Very good play for limited, especially when you first start. And it can also trigger raid after it attacks. Yeah, definitely a little good 1/1 for limited. Next is Form of the Dinosaur. It's a 4 colors and 2 mountain enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, your life total becomes 15. And at the beginning of your upkeep, it deals 15 damage to target creature an opponent controls, and that creature deals damage equal to its power to you. I'll be honest with you, I don't like this card. I hate it because your life total becomes 15, and especially if it deals damage to something huge, there goes a lot of your life. This would probably be good to pick off little things, but I really don't think it's going to be played that much. Probably only unlimited, but that's only pushing it. Next is Frilled It's a 3-drop dinosaur with Enrage. When it's dealt damage, it deals 2 damage to your target opponent. It's a 3/2. Just make sure this thing survives combat and you're dealing 2 damage to your opponent. Otherwise, it's pretty vulnerable. But for limited, it should be okay. It may see constructed play, I'm not too sure. Next is Gulta Primal Hunger. 10 colorless, 2 forests. Legendary creature, Elder Dinosaur. She costs X less to cast, where X is the total power of creatures you control. She has Trample and is a 12/12. This is probably one of the largest creatures that I've seen in quite some time, but hey, as long as you have a lot of power on board, she can cost almost as 2 forests, and that's pretty good. I can definitely see this in limited, and I can definitely see this in constructed. Now this is a card that has been, when I first saw it, was like, wow. Halti, Radiant Champion. 2 colorless, 1 forest, 1 plains. Legendary Planeswalker, Halti. Put a loyalty counter on Hulti for each creature you control. That's her +1 ability. Her -1, target creature gets +X until the end of the turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. And -8, you get an emblem. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may draw a card. Starts out at 3 loyalty. Yes, 3 loyalty for a 4-drop is a little weak, but that can immediately change if you have like 10 things on board. Oh, she just went to a 13 loyalty planeswalker. Hulti can get really out of control, and I think this version is much better than the one from Ixalan. So definitely be careful if you see this in your limited play or constructed. Token decks are going to love this card. But for the rest of us, good luck. Next is Zahal Primal Tide. 5-drop, 5 colorless, 2 islands. Legendary creature, Elder Dinosaur. It cannot be countered, and you have no maximum hand size. And when an opponent casts a non-creature spell, draw a card. Discard 3 cards, exile Nizali, and return to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. And it's a 7/7. 7/7 for 7 is pretty good. This reminds me of the Leviathan from Khan's Lot, where it can't be countered. But yeah, this is pretty interesting. Control players are probably gonna like this. Probably once the Gearhawk leaves. What can I think of this? Hold on a second. Torrential Gearhawk. This is definitely going to be the next one as soon as that leaves the field. Or leaves this new standard. Now this is the card I really liked when it first was shown. Polyraptor. 6 colorless, 2 forks. Dinosaur. When it is dealt damage, create a token that's a copy of Polyraptor. And it's a 5/5. Basically, you're going to be making 5/5s without even casting them. Basically, you just deal damage to this creature, even if it's just 1 damage, and boom, you have another 5/5. And there's another 5/5, and maybe another 5/5. Create 5/5s for the rest of your days. Definitely good and limited. It may see constructed play, but I really like this card. I really hope this sees standard play. Next is Raging Rageosaur. 2 colors, 1 mountain, and 1 forest. When it attacks, it deals 1 damage to target creature or player. Now this is pretty good and limited. It may see constructed play, but a 4/4 for 4 is always good. I really like this card. Next is Rekindling Phoenix. 2 colors, 2 mountains. Phoenix. It has flying, and when it dies, create a 0/1 red elemental creature token with, at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice this creature and return target card named Rekindling Phoenix from your graveyard to the battlefield, and it gains haste until the end of the turn. And it's a 4/3. Sorry about that. This card looks really powerful, especially for limited. And for standard play, I can definitely see this coming back. This is definitely a card to be not mess with. And if you are facing against it, good luck, because it's going to keep coming back, even if you kill it. Next is Sky Marcher Esper. It's a 1-drop vampire soldier with Ascent. It has flying as long as you have the city's blessing. And it's a 2/1. A 2/1 for 1 is always a good start to start out your own game. If you have more, you have 10 things on the field, 10 or more permanents on the field, it has flying. Nice little limited card. Could see constructed play if it's in vampires. Next is Finks' Decree. A 2-drop sorcery. Each opponent can't cast instant or sorcery spells during that player's next turn. Now this is pretty cool. Cast it, your opponent can't cast spells except creature spells the next turn. Basically, if you're a control player, they'll play like an island or something, or a land, and to say pass. Yeah, for a sorcery, this is pretty good. I like it. Next is Steel-clad Ferocidon. 5 colorless, 2 mountains. As Enrage, when it is dealt damage, each opponent sacrifices a permanent, and it's an 8/5. This is a very powerful card in Limited, and for Constructed, I can definitely see it be played. Being damaged, even if it's just 1 damage, an opponent must sacrifice something. This will get rid of a powerful creature. This will get rid of a powerful enchantment or artifact. This is a very good card, I believe. Hopefully we'll see standard play. Next is Thundershoot Dryad. It's 4 colors and 1 forest for a Dryad. It has Ascend, and at the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 green sapling creature token. Saplings you control get +2/+2 as long as you have the City's Blessing. And it's a 2/2. This is a great card. If you have 4 of these on the field, each upkeep you're creating 4 saplings. And if you have this with Annoy Procession, create an extra token. Oh man, this is going to get way out of hand if this is in green-white tokens. Very good card, definitely standard playable, and definitely a hard card to beat if it's in Limited. Next is the Immortal Sun. It's a 6-drop legendary artifact. Players can't activate Planeswalker loyalty abilities. At the beginning of your draw step, draw an additional card. Spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and creatures you control get +1/+1. This card is great. Sure, it does cost a lot, but it has 4 different abilities, and all those abilities help you. If you're not playing Planeswalkers, it's okay. If you draw more cards, that's good. Spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, that's really good. And creatures you control get +1/+1. All these abilities are great. Hopefully, you pull some out of some packs, and guess what? You are going to win some games with this card. Definitely standard playable, and definitely a limited Next is Tomb Robber. 2 colorless, 1 swamp, human pirate Venice. He has 1 discard card, and it explores. Starts out as a 1/1, but as long as you don't see a land, it can keep getting bigger with more counters. And you can do this multiple times in a turn. Definitely a pretty cool card, especially in an Explorer's deck. Next is Vicious Cage Maw. 3 colorless, 2 planes, and it's a dinosaur. When it is dealt damage, exile target creature an opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield. Starts out as a 5/5. Now this is definitely an interesting card. 5/5 for 5 is always good, and if it's dealt 1 damage, you can get rid of something really powerful that opponent has. I can definitely see this in Limited, and I can maybe see this in Standard. But hey, that's a pretty good card. Next is Kite Marauder. 2-drop, human pirate with flying. When it attacks, target creature defending player controls loses all abilities and has base power and toughness of 0/1 until the end of the turn. It's a 2/1. Now this card is going to be a real pain in the butt. If your opponent has 4 of these and is attacking with all 4, and you have a lot of stuff to block with, oh, too bad. It becomes 0/1 until the end of the turn, and it's basically just sitting there. This card is going to be definitely hard to deal with, especially in the early game, and if it's a late game, it's going to be even more hard to deal with, probably. Definitely can see standard play, and this is going to be a hard card to beat in Limited. This will be the final card of the day. We have Akama, Primal Calamity. 6 colorless, 1 mountain, 1 forest, 1 plains. Legendary creature, Elder Dinosaur. Vigilance, Reach, Trample. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, untap all lands you control. First ability is 2 colors in a mountain, and it deals 3 damage to target creature. Next is 2 in a forest, destroy target artifact or enchantment. And third one is 2 in the plains, gain 3 life. It's a 9/9. This card is very powerful. 3 different abilities, helps you when you cast it, untap all your lands, and keep casting stuff. This thing will be a big problem if you're facing against it. I can definitely see this in standard, and it's going to be a real tough problem to beat in limited. A 9/9 for 9 is very powerful. So yeah, that's Akama Primal Calamity. That brings us back to the top. Thanks for watching, you guys, and I hope you guys come back to see more reveals from this new set, Rivals of Ixalan. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys next time.